So right now I'm going to put together the pattern pieces for the Hoodsport hoodie. So I am doing the optional pocket too for this guy. I'm putting together the size 6 and I'm using just standard 8.5 by 11 paper. So I will be using the solid guidelines. Let's see. So this guideline right here, if you do an A4, your guideline will be dotted. When you print, you're still going to want to go into your page setup and set that page up so that is 8.5 by 11. Even though you aren't printing that size paper, you still need to do that, otherwise it won't print right. So if when you print you see an extra line, that might be why. So just double check that. Lots of pages. So here's a page. I'm not gonna tape that on there. The size 6 kind of falls right where the guideline is. So like on 9, the next page 10 is gonna cover this line up. So I just will remember that when I'm cutting, that the paper has covered that line up, and then I can just move page 10, fold it up and out of the way so I can see that guideline. So I don't actually need to worry about lining this side of the page up. I'm just going to worry about making sure that it's lined up right from top to bottom here, because this will get folded out of the way when I sew or when I go to cut. So like, it doesn't even need to be taped right here. It can just be independent like that. And that really only happens, I think, on the size 6. So when I tape, I just kind of use this little tape, and then eventually I go back with my packing tape and I tape it the whole way. That way it's not all flappy when I'm using my pattern pieces. Let's see. Here's the bottom of this piece. They're all in order, and you could tape them together all in order, but I have limited space, so I like to get a few pieces all the way assembled, like the back pieces, and I'm just gonna use my packing tape and I'm going to cut them out now. The sleeve cup out here, I'm going to retain, this is the bottom of the hood, I'm going to retain that because I'm still making the hood. I mean, technically you have to. Technically, if you know how to measure the neckline, you could replace it with a band. You could. So I have 2 of these. When my blade gets dull on the one I use for fabric, I put it over here with the one that's marked, and this is the one I use for paper. Because I feel it's easier to cut pattern pieces out with the rotary blade than it is with scissors. Some things you do have to use scissors for, you know, but this works pretty good for long, straight edges. So there's that piece. It's the back bottom. today I'm going to use a pink plaid print as my main print, and then I have this black grayish sweater knit that I'm going to use as like for my my pocket, and I think my sleeve tops. I haven't quite decided yet, but I like the look of the texture because the sweater knit is textured. You can kind of see, you know, with the kind of the plain look, so it gives it some character. And then I will also do some grommets. I'm not going to use a drawstring because they are not safe, but the grommets will be fun way to embellish. I haven't decided where I'm going to use them yet. Traditionally I put them on the hood, but I was thinking today I put them on the pocket. We'll also be doing the free hand machine embroidery. So with the bottom sleeve, there's two lengths. You can go for the short long sleeve, which will get your cuff around the wrist, but if you go longer, it'll be past the wrist. My kids like long sleeves. I too like long sleeves. I like to be able to cover my hand with my sleeve if I want. So I'm going to do the long option. And gotta get the sleeve cut. This will be cut on a fold, and fold it in half, and fold it in half again. And then I'm just going to cut all this way. Toss it into my handy dandy garbage can. Let's see, we'll do the waistband and the pocket too before we get to the hood. There we go. Easy peasy. Waistband. And then we got the pocket. The pocket is optional, of course, and the sides of the pocket get sewn into the side seam of the shirt when you do that step. So, and then the bottom of the pocket gets sewn into the waistband when you do that part. So really, if you're doing the pocket, you only need to sew it to the top, at the top of the pocket, before you can move on with the rest of the steps. But you can also baste it at the sides and the bottom too, which can be very helpful when you're sewing it on later. There's my sleeve top and the rest of my hood. I like this hood because it's not lined and it saves me fabric. So with this one, we are just going to fold this edge in 1.25 inches. And that saves fabric. You could also do a lined version, but you would have to cut 1 inch off, and then the 1/4 inch you'd leave. That would be your seam allowance. If you're feeling frisky, wanted to do that. Lots of things you could do to make this your own. I mean, you could do short sleeve. It does not sew the sleeve bottom on if you wanted to. That's the fun about sewing. Once you have a pattern, you can pretty much turn it into whatever you want. So my sleeve isn't cut on the fold. It's marked which side is which. So this is my front. When I go and I cut my pieces, I'm just going to clip into the seam allowance the front, so I know. Because if once you know where the front is, clearly the other side is your back. So I have to run a piece of tape up that. There we go. Perfect. I'm running out of packing tape. I gotta get some more. Okey-dokey. Alright, there's our hood. All our pieces. Okay, now to cut it out. So, I'm thinking I'm going to do this pink for everything but the sleeve top, the pocket, the waistband, and the sleeve cuffs. For those pieces, I think I'm going to use that black if I have enough fabric. So, I use this as my pattern weight because it works like a champ. And then sleeve top is going to be black. That's going to be black. That's going to be black. That's going to be black. The sleeve bottom also mirrored. It's also going to say where the front is. So front is this side. That means that's back side. And then I'm just going to clip in my seam allowance. So I know this is the front. Okay. Do you hear that helicopter out there? Oh my gosh, it must be super close. There we go. I'm gonna cut this piece off. That'd be great for embroidery or applique. Maybe make a little keychain or something out of it. These, sometimes I save them and then I tie them to a piece of rope or twine, and then I make a garland. Also fun, I have garland hanging in my baby's room, and I used to have garland hanging in my twins' bedroom, but one of them decided, hey, I bet I can jump up and touch that, and they ripped it out of the ceiling. Okay, so that's the front piece. And now the back, I'm gonna do the back bottom in this pink print. And then I'll do the top in that black probably, depending on how much I have left. Every time I hear a helicopter, I think something bad has happened. Like, we live pretty close to the water, so it's like, oh God, did somebody's boat overturn? Or was there a horrible car accident? Anybody else paranoid like that? Okay, so that's all of our pink that we're going to use. Alright, let's see how much of this black I have. I might have to pick something else if I don't have enough. Yeah, we might be able to make this work. This doesn't look too bad. Okay, so leaf cups. There's one. And there's two. Two sleeve cups. Wow. Let's see. Sleeve cups. Sleeve top. Definitely want to have that. So I'm just folding this right sides together. It's hard to tell because it's black. There's not much of a difference. Okay. My pattern weight. With this one, we're going to mark the front of the sleeve again. I'm just clipping into the seam allowance. There. There we go. Sleeves. I definitely want the pocket in this color. The only thing that I don't really care about would probably be the back top. I definitely want my pocket to be this. So, folding it in half. Too much, too much. Okay, pattern weight. let's see from my scraps if I got any good characters. This little guy's cute. Let's see who else is on this big one I saved. And that. So I have the choice between this guy and this guy. I think I'm going to do this little guy right here. I'm just going to make it a square. Easy peasy. Yeah. Maybe a little smaller. Let's still save the rest of this. All right. Do you hear the bird? The bird is loud. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. What do you think? So, with that, I need fusible interfacing. This is non-woven, heat and bond, medium weight, white, iron-on, fusible interfacing. 100% polyester, machine washable, and dry cleanable. So, I'm going to cut this out. And because it's not symmetrical, because I'm laying this wrong side down, I'm laying it wrong side down onto the bumpy side, because that's the side that's got the adhesive. And I'm just going to cut this little guy out. Then I'm going to crawl under my table. No, mine or not. I have to, because that's the only way to do it. There we go. There. Now I'll just iron that on there before we do that embroidery. Okay, what else we got? We have the back top and the waistband. I'm going to do the waistband next. Hopefully we have enough. Ooh, might be close. I don't know. Let's see. Woohoo! Perfect. Perfecto. Okay. And we're just going to cut one of these out on the hole. Bam. I need to cut these pieces off because when I'm folding they get in the way. They're okay. Now for the top. Almost there. Okay, that's our last piece. Now I'm going to get this stuff all organized, and then we'll get to sewing. All right, now we're going to start with our required pieces. So first we have the hoods. We have two. They're mirrored, and then below that we have our little applique piece that we're going to do, and it has the fusible interfacing, and then we have two sleeve cuffs and one waistband, two sleeve tops cut mirrored, two sleeve bottoms cut mirrored, and I have clipped into the seam allowance the to mark which is the front sleeve, one optional pocket, one shirt front, one shirt back top part, and then one shirt back bottom part. So the first thing I'm going to sew is going to be the hood, because it's already right sides together and it's easy. So I'm just going to serge from here all the way down to here, and then I'm going to serge this end, And then I'm going to press it 1.25 over so it has a memory fold right there. And then I'm gonna put the grommets in. Okay, so my hood is ready to go for grommets. That's where I've decided I'm going to put my grommets. But you could put them on your pocket or on your sleeve, wherever. That would be cool. So I've got my punch that I'm not going to use as a punch. I'm just going to use it to kind of tell me where I'm going to punch these holes. So I'm going to fold this open, and I have my fold so I know where that's going to be, and then I can kind of feel that bump under there. So I'm just going to dip this in, and then I don't want it to get too close to either edge. I want it to be, for the most part, centered. And I'm just going to press that down, and I can see just a little bit of the circle outline, and I'll cut it out. And with a punch, you should be able to just, you know, use the punch with the hammer, and it should cut the fabric out. But that never happens for me. I usually, it doesn't cut, it just sinks into my little wood block here, as you can see. So I cut it out, and then we need a piece of interfacing. So I'm just going to repeat that on this. 1 and 2. And now I'm going to cut these circles out by hand. I got my grommet kit off of Amazon. So in the kit, it came with these grommets, the washers, the flaring tool, the base tool, and the punch. And yeah, so I have yellow, well, gold, not real gold, grommets or silver grommets. When I cut my knit fabric here, I actually don't try to go as big as the circle because it stretches, because it's knit. And I found that if I make it the same size, usually I just end up overstretching it. So I like it to stretch just a little bit around the grommet. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna cut one of these off. I'm going to take my grommet, looks like a little top hat, and I'm going to insert it into the hole, like that. There we go. And then the interfacing goes around it, or felt, or fleece, something thick. And then the washer is going to go on top with the concave side down, okay? Then we're going to take our base tool, and it's got a groove in it. We're going to stick the right side of the fabric, and we're going to put that right in that groove there. And then we're going to take our flaring tool, and you should have safety glasses on to do this. I don't. We're just going to hit it. Okay, and that's it. I'll trim this away, and yeah, there's nothing more to do with it. So once again, grommet, we're going to insert it just like that, interfacing around it, washer, concave side down, and then the grommet into the base tool, the flaring tool, and then the hammer. Okay, just a couple good hits, and that's all it takes. Okay, put these away so I don't lose them. Close this. I'll dry my ink out. And I'm just going to trim this interfacing back a little. finish up the hood, I'm going to fold that edge back over and I'm going to sew it in place. I'm going to use my cover stitch machine, but you can use your regular sewing machine. And then I'm just going to stitch it right there and all the way around. So this is my Janome and I have it set up for 2 needles and I do not have stretch thread. All I have is just regular cones. And I'm gonna sew this with the wrong side facing up because I like the stitching on the other side instead of just like the straight looking stitching. Let's see, go a little further. There we go. So I'm getting to the seam here, and the seam, usually it's a pain in the butt. So you can buy a shim basically, but I have made one out of little pieces of cardboard. There are, looks like 4 pieces I've taped together, and that usually helps. So needles down, foot up, and then I put this right behind the needles, and there. The bump is no longer a problem. Problem solved, problem stays. There we go. I'm just pulling the threads out and cutting them. See? So yellow. Okay, now let's work on something else. So next we're going to be working on the freehand applique machine. So the bumpy side, we are going to iron to the wrong side of this fabric right here. And you want to follow the manufacturer's directions for the interface that you're using. So it should come on the interfacing, like the directions are wrapped around it. So we have our interfacing fused on via the iron to the fabric, and you're going to want to open your pocket up. This is the right side, and place this on the right side wherever you think it would look good. So I'm going to do this side, and I'm just going to put a pin in it so it stays there. And then we're going to take it over to the machine, and basically we're just going to sew wild stitches around it and through it just to get it to stay. The edges don't have to, they don't have to be finished because it's kind of a rustic look, if you will. And it kind of goes with my little animal. So let's go over to the sewing machine. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a straight stitch around all the edges so I can take that pin out. So I'm going to set that needle down. I'm going to make my stitch length long, so I'm at 3.5. And I've got about an 1/8 inch seam allowance, if you will. Just very careful not to stretch the pocket when I'm doing this. Yeah, it's a little close to the edge. That's fine. It can be whatever. The beauty is that if it's not perfect, it looks even better. So the sloppier looking, the better. That is probably the only time in sewing where that's going to be applicable. So embrace it. If you're feeling real frisky and you had like a little square like this and you sewed it on, but you didn't do the top like I just did, you can make like a funky little pocket. Okay, so we're back around to this, and I'm going to do a zigzag stitch now. And I want it kind of long. There we go. Now I'm just going to get closer to the edge. we go. Went off the pocket a little. That's fine. All the way around. Still trying not to stretch that pocket. Okay. Now what do we want to do? Let's go back to the straight stitch, and I want a long stitch. Let's do some fun circles. Ooh. Try not to cut the little guy's head off too much. There we go. Now how about we just an up and down thing. Woo! Boop, boop. There we go. And maybe we go a little bit overboard. Uh-oh. I have been sewing without a bobbin. This machine does not tell me when my bobbin is out, but my other one does. I still love it though. I still love you. Let's see. All right, back in business again. What were we doing? Straight line. That's right. All right. Well, let's see if we can get this guy lined back up. So needle down. And then we go. It's kind of hard to see. Okay, that's good enough. The job is done. It is secured. So that's basically it. It's super easy. No rules, man. I mean, other than the interfacing, I definitely recommend using interfacing. And just have fun with it. You know, I did only a zigzag and a straight stitch, but some machines have a lot of decorative stitches that you might want to experiment with. This is a great opportunity to do that. All right. Okay, so since we're already here, let's go ahead and finish sewing up our pocket. All we're gonna do is fold it right sides together, and the pocket, what will be our pocket opening to put our hands through, is where we're gonna sew. So this edge right here, that's it. These edges here and the bottom edge here, those are going to be sewn in the side seam, one of them, and the waistband. So you don't have to sew it. If you sew it, no big deal. But just keep that in mind. It's not needed. So I'm just going to do a straight stitch. Lined up. Trim. If you find that your machine, when you start sewing, is trying to eat whatever you're sewing, try holding on to the threads until it gets going. That helps. Sometimes also, if you're starting on kind of a weird bumpy place, you can put a shim under it like we did when we sewed the hood, and that'll help also. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this baby right side out, and then we will sew it to the front of our shirt. Okay, so in the tutorial, I have you sew these edges right here and I recommend doing it, but I'm not gonna do it this time. I'm skipping that step. So all you have to do with this pocket, which is different than the North Link tank, if you're familiar with that tutorial, that pocket does not go to the side seams, but this pocket does. So all you have to do is line up the pocket at the sides of your shirt and at the bottom of your shirt, and you are ready to sew it in place right here. And if you want to, you can baste it here, and you can also baste it here. I'm not going to do that, but I recommend it. So I'm just going to take it and pin it so it won't move away. And I'm going to use a straight stitch, but you can use a zigzag or a decorative, might as well. I'm going to stitch it right here, okay? So we're going to take our back bottom and our back top, and they're both right sides up right now. Can you see that? Let's see. Get a little bit more. So, and then we're going to flip it. Now it's right sides together, and we're going to sew from here to here using a stretch stitch. I'm going to use my serger. So in the tutorial also, I say to press that seam up and then top stitch it, but the sweater knit is kind of flimsy, so I actually pressed it down and I top stitched it that way. So when I do my sleeve top and sleeve bottom, I'm just going to press that seam down so that they match. So here we have it all assembled, and now we're going to do our shoulder seams. So take our top or our front and our back, and we're going to lay them right sides together. At the shoulder seam, we will sew them using a stretch stitch or a serger. And then we'll just sew right here. Bam. Super easy. Okay, we got that done. Now we're going to move this guy aside, and we're going to do our sleeves. We could actually do our bands if we want to. I think that's the next step in the tutorial, but I can't remember. So let's just do the bands. Nice one. Okay. So you take your bands and you fold them. They should already be folded, right? But if you have not, when you cut them, folded them right sides together, you will want to do that now. So folding it right side together. Very hard to tell on this, but there's a right side and a wrong side. Okay. And then what you can do at this point is you can sew down the short ends. Well, these would be the long ends on the cuffs, but you can sew down these ends right here, okay? But there is a trick, and it has a name, but I forget the name. If you take it and you fold it in half like this, see, now when we're done, we would fold it in half and we would sew it on like that. But if you want, you can actually fold them in half right now. The way they would, you're gonna have to fold them up this way anyways. So if you do it right now and you sew it like this, then this seam is actually less bulky than if you were to sew it down this end and then fold it. So we'll do that. We're gonna fold it one more time in place, and then we will sew it. And then I will unfold it for you so you can see. Okay, super easy. Just gonna sew this end right here. Okay, so here we have it. Sewn. Now, to turn it right side out, we're just going to take one side of this and we're going to fold it around, okay? Ta-da! And now we have a cuff. And let's see, this is for one of my kids, but can it fit? Yes. Look at that, because it's super stretchy. I probably just stretched it out. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. So one more time. Just one side. So 3 pieces of fabric remain in this hand. One in this. And I'm just going to fold that over like this. Okay? Bam. Perfect. If you try to take it and fold it so that there's 2 pieces of fabric in each hand, it's gonna look like this, okay? No worries. Just open it up and let it naturally fold in on itself. Because remember, all we're doing is we're just folding it in half again like you would any other waistband, right? Because you have to have these long raw edges lined up when you sew them. So no big deal. Bam. There we have it. Now our waistband and our cuffs are done. Boom. So let's move those puppies over into the semi-done pile and get our sleeves. We're gonna make quick work of this. So here we go. Sleeve bottoms. Front is marked. I have a clip right there. So what we want to do is line those up with the fronts that match. So, or the tops. So top front, bottom front. And this is right side up. Clip, clip, that's the front. So I'm gonna fold these over, right sides together. I'm gonna take it to my machine and I'm going to serge them, or you can zigzag them. And then, because I had pressed that seam down on my back piece, I will press it down for these so that they match. And then I will do a cover stitch on it. Okay, so my sleeves are sewn, they're top stitched. Now I need to sew them to the shirt. And typically what I do is I fold them in half to find the center line. And that center line on the sleeve gets lined up with the center line on the seam right there. But on these pattern pieces, I have that marked. So you can fold it in half. It's actually a little offset, but folding it in half also works too. So you could just lay it on there. Make sure that your front is lined up with your front. And put a clip in it into the seam allowance, but never through the seam allowance. Otherwise you'll have a hole. Okay, so I got center line marked, or where my seam is supposed to be marked. I'm going to take my shirt piece and I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to make sure that this seam is facing towards the back of the shirt. And I'm going to find which sleeve, when I fold it over, has the front facing this way, because this is the front of my shirt. So it looks like it's this guy right here, because when I lay it right side down, my clip is there. So I'm just going to line up that clip mark that we just made there at that seam. Seam is pressed towards the back of the shirt. I'm going to clip it in place. And then I'm going to take this corner and I'm going to line it up here. And then I'll start sewing all the way around here. I'll pull this out, this clip out, and then I'll keep sewing all the way around to here. Okay? So I will actually drag you over to the machine and we'll do this. So here we have it. This is the shirt. Lift my foot up. And that corner we were talking about is right here, and I'm going to line it up just like this. See that? I'm going to put it under my foot. Put my foot down, and give it a couple stitches. Now, I'm just going to keep sewing up and around. Make sure that seam is still going towards the back of your shirt. Let's see if I can get you a little closer here. Okay, now I'm going to line this corner up with this corner. See that? Just like that. I don't know if you can hear that, but that is the Pacific Northwest rain. We had a big rainstorm, or thunderstorm, lightning, last night. So there it is. It's all sewn together. And now I'm going to do the other side. So, and if I were you, and if I were a beginner, I'd take this back to the table and I would repeat exactly what we just did, but I'm not. So all I'm doing, lining that up, lifting the foot, putting it under, stitching it just a little bit, and I'm going to find that clip I made. right here. Damn. Sorry, the lighting isn't so good. I'm just gonna hold it at that seam, the shoulder seam. And the seam is facing the back of the shirt. And I'll sew it there. Just like that. And I'm gonna line up this other one. Just like that. And there you have it. So now what I would do, if you all weren't watching, is I would just fold this in half right now, and I would sew this side seam, but I'm going to take you back to the table and show you with a better view. Okay, welcome back. Now, like I was saying, I would just sew this in half at the table, but because I have, because company is here, I will show you how to do this. So, this is the right side of the shirt, right? This is the front. You can see my pocket's all weird right here. So I'm going to fold it back over, line those edges up. Now I'm going to fold this, the back of the shirt over, and I'm going to make sure that my pocket is wedged in between, because if you have forgotten your pocket and you sew this side seam, well, you're going to have to do some recovery. You're either going to have to pick that seam out, or there's a trick. Just fold this under. If you missed it, if you somehow missed it, let's hope you missed it on both ends. You can actually fold it under like that, and if you do it at an angle, it's pretty cute. So you can fold it under like this and be like, I meant to do that. Okay, so let's just put that under there, and we're gonna give it a little clip so we don't forget it. If we do forget it, let's hope we forget it on both sides. There. And then we line up the sleeves, the raw edges, from the bottom sleeve corner all the way over. And then we're just going to take it to the machine, and we'll sew starting here, down the arm to the armpit, and then down and sewing that pocket, and then we'll repeat this on the other side. Okay? So here we have it. Let's take you right here. There we go. Raise the foot. Put the foot down. Very important. And I've just got regular old thread in my threaded hair, no stretch thread. I only really use that for my machine that's set up for a rolled hem. And then one of my cover stitch machines also. Okay, let's not forget the pocket. Okay, so making sure that I got all these raw edges lined up. Perfect. And then we're just going to do the other side. So if you all weren't watching, I would bring my bands over, and after I get this done, I just sew them. But we'll take it back to the table, and I'll show you how to do it with a better view. So let's get back to the table, and we'll put our bands on, and then we will put our hood on, and we'll be done. Okay, so we have our shirt, the side seam sewn, and here you can see it. Just gonna trim some of these threads off. And I can't remember in the tutorial if we sew the bands on with the shirt inside out or right side out. It doesn't matter as long as you put the bands on properly. I'm going to turn this right side out so you can see the pocket, because if you're doing the pocket, this is very important that you get it caught in that waistband seam, because if you don't, well, then it's not much of a pocket, is it? So we're first going to do this waistband. So cute. I think maybe the knit will look better at the bottom, but oh well. Here we have it. So here's the waistband. Okay, this is this seam right here, and I'm going to place a pin 100, because this is a circle. There's 360 degrees in a circle. Half of that is 180. So I'm going to put a clip 180 degrees out, and that's where I'm going to line it up with this seam. You can also say the opposite side, and it all gets you there. Okay, I like lining the seams up. That's why I do it this way. If you don't line the seams up, your shirt will still turn out fine. It is absolutely no big deal where your seam goes. It is definitely not a deal breaker, and really the only one that may notice would probably be you, because us makers are harder on ourselves than we should be. So I'm just going to clip this in place, and I'm actually going to do one more clip. See what I did there? I just stretched it a little so I could stretch that band a little so I could find where it would naturally hit in the center there. Bam! And that's going to keep me from not forgetting I have a pocket there. So let's go back to the baby lock. Okay, so we're about to do the waistband. Okay. I'm going to raise my foot. I'm going to open this up just like that. And I'm going to sew it in the round. Just like that. Okay. I'm going to line all my raw edges up. So there's actually 3 raw edges. There's 2 raw edges from your waistband, and then there's 1 raw edge from your shirt. And you want to make sure you get them all pretty much lined up. Just gently stretching that waistband. Okay, now I'm to my clip. I'm gonna pull that clip. Okay, now because I have this pocket, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. Right? No, that's not right. 5 layers. There's a piece. See, if I miss that, then my pocket would not be a pocket. Okay, this seam gets pretty big, so if your machine is not good with thick seams, you may want to sew this with your sewing machine with a zigzag. Just take it slow and steady. Make sure you keep checking that all those raw edges are lined up. And we're still just gently stretching the waistband as we go. So with my seam here, I have the shirt seam going one way, and then I have the waistband seam going another way. So it cuts down on bulk, but it's only going to do so much. So there we go. The waistband, let's see, did I catch the pocket? Is the pocket a pocket? Let's see. Yes, we did it. Okay, so next we're going to go back to the table and we're going to do our cuffs. So next we're going to unfold this mess we have here, and we're going to do the cuffs, okay? Real easy. I'm going to show you how to do it on the table, and then we'll go over to the sewing machine, excuse me, the serger, and we will do both of them from over there. So I'm taking my cuff, this is my seam, and I'm just going to insert my sleeve into that cuff, okay? Now, my cuff looks the same on both sides, but if your cuff has a print, a directional print, you want to make sure by flipping it over and checking that your print is going the way it should go. So if it's not going the way it should go, then you just need to flip it out and then try it again, okay? So this one, you can mark it 180 degrees out. You'll have to find the opposite side of the sleeve also by just folding it in half. And then you can pin it that way if you need a little extra guidance. But because this is such a small piece, I don't feel it's necessary. So when I sew, I'm going to just stretch it. And it'll, as long as I stretch it evenly, it's gonna be fine. There we go. So let's go over to the machine. Sleeve cuff. And we're at our serger. And if you're new to this, you want to sew in the round. So you want to open it up and sew inside. Instead of trying to sew it like this, you want to sew inside of it in here. It's easier. Easier for me anyways. You should do whatever is easiest for you, you know. Because if it's easy, it's fun, and if it's fun, you'll do it more often, and that's what's important. So I'm inside of the shirt when I do this. See, I opened it up, and this is what I call sewing in the round. We're inside. This is inside of the shirt. Gently stretching. Doesn't take much, especially because I'm using this ultra super stretchy fabric. So now I'm going to do my other cuff. So this is my folded edge. I'm going to insert my sleeve. I'm lining up that seam right here. Maybe I will have a light installed above to make this easier the next time. Okay, bam, my foot's up. I'm gonna slide this under, put that down, get a little few stitches in it. And you also, you know, this is important that you make sure those rows are lined up too. Put needles up, and I move it out of the way, and I just kind of run it off. I just cut my tails. There was a time I used to thread them in, but I don't do that anymore because this stuff is for my kids, so sorry guys. Okay, we're at the end now. We just need to put that hood on. So I'm gonna unfold my cuffs. Bam, gorgeous. Oh, let's try that off a little bit more. You can thread your tails in. I don't. I have not noticed my seams coming apart. And even if I did, I would probably still do it that way because I make so many things for my kids that I just run right through them. And then sometimes I just turn them into other things for them because it saves fabric. So what I'm doing is I'm folding this shirt in half. I'm going to find center front and center back this way. And I'm marking it with a pin because a pin is more precise than a clip. And bam, bam, I say bam a lot. I'm like Emerald Lagasse for sewing, kinda. Not really, okay. So, hood. Hood is open and facing down. The right side is facing up. We're gonna take this shirt and we're going to line that center back up with the back of the hood seam. The seam that runs down the middle, okay? And I'm going to clip it because it'll hold it there much better than a pin. Okay, now we're we're going to overlap this edge here, 1 inch past here. I'm gonna eyeball it, but you are more than welcome to get your tape measure or your ruler out and check it. So I'm just gonna put it here. Also, I know that this is 1 1/4 inches and my seam here, my serge is 1/4 inch. So, I mean, am I really eyeballing it? Kinda, but kinda not, just using logic here. Okay, so overlapping again here. Now I'm gonna pull that pin out and replace it with a clip. And I recommend, if you're new to sewing, or even if you're not, basting where this crosses over in place, because sometimes this little edge will pop away from you under your foot and it won't get sewn. Okay, so great, we have that. Now when we sew, we're going to sew this. I'll take you over to the machine. We're going to sew this in the round, and we will stretch very gently as we sew. Okay, so I'm going to start sewing at my back center line. So that's the hood seam. So here's the back, foot is up. I'm going to put this under, foot down. And it's not at the very back I will stretch, but between the very back and the very front is where I'll stretch. And when I do this, it doesn't take a lot of stretching, it's just very little. And when you do this, you want to make sure that that shoulder seam is facing the back of the shirt, which will be, if you have made your top back piece a different color, it will be that. So that's my black. So my seam is facing my black. Just take it slow. Okay. Now we're coming up here. We'll make sure that we don't lose any of these overlapping pieces. Make sure your shoulder seam is going towards the back. Okay. Let's see if I caught it all. Yes. Yes. Awesome. And there we have it. So I'm just going to trim this off, and that is seriously it. That's our hoodie. Now I gotta try it on one of my twins when they get home. See, and here's our grommets, and I'm not gonna put anything in them, they're just there to look cool. All right, not so bad. Thanks for watching.